So we are going to do the death meditation. So as usual, I'm going to kind of chant these verses in Pali first. And so these are the verses in which we find the themes for the reflection of death. And then we are going to reflect on the meaning of those verses. And then I'll do the guided meditation. So usually we are going to go through 3 major themes and bringing some ideas to kind of reinforce this idea of death on our mind. Bhavat Deepa Tulyaya Sayu Santatiya Kahayang Parupamaya Sampassang Bhavaye Maraṇasating Maha Sampatti Sampatta Yatha Satta Mathaida Tatha ahang marissami maranang mama hessati uppattiya sahevedang maranang agatang sada maranattahaya okasang vadhako viya esati isakang anivat tang tang satatang gamanussukang jivitang udaya attang suryo viyadhavati vijjububbula ussava jalaraji parikhayang ghatako variputassa Sabbatthapi avariyo suyasattama punyiddhi buddhi jinadvayang ghātesi maranang khippang khātumādi sake katha paccayananca vekalya bahirajjattu paddava Maramorang nimesapi maramanu anughananti. So comparing the life continuum, the destruction of the life continuum to a flame that is in the breeze, and also comparing oneself to others with regard to this common fact of mortality, let one do this meditation on death. So when you compare your life to a flame of a lamp which is in the breeze, it says that the flame can be kind of extinguished any moment because it's in the breeze. So that's the same thing with our life. We are living at the moment, and our life can leave us in the next second, next minute. And when we extend this perception of death from ourselves to others, we also understand that others have the same nature with regard to their life. So that way you are identifying with others, you are kind of empathizing with others, you do this meditation. understanding the fact that we all are mortal. So we reflect on that in the very beginning of this meditation. Life is very short, and everyone in this world has this common nature. So identifying with every being, actually not only human beings, but all beings. So I am also one of them, and we all have the same nature with regard to death. And in this world, people with great wealth, lot of acquisitions, so they also had to die. They couldn't skip or escape the death. In the same way, I will also have to face death, and it is inescapable, unavoidable, and inevitable. Death will come to me. I will die. In the human's history, even in the old schools of philosophy, they might have practiced something called the terror management theory, which means they got together and discussed how to really face death. But it hasn't been that fruitful from our perspectives, because the only thing they did to prepare oneself to death, just to ignore that one is dying. They didn't talk about it. So that's a way of managing terror, because normally when someone thinks about death, so there will be this fear, this anxiety, terror. So in order to avoid that, so people thought, let's not talk about it, just put it aside. Or we can either push it into the future. I don't have to really think about it at the moment. I'll think about it when I really have to experience that one day. But we never know what kind of situation we will be in. We might be very sick. There might be our beloved ones around us, crying, expressing their sadness. And that might not be a good time, good place to reflect on death. So it seems like they didn't really come up with a good practice. So that's why in this practice we really want to talk about death. Because anyway we have to face that, experience that one day, and we do not wait till the last moment, because we are not so sure if we can really maintain a contemplative mind at that moment. So we do this meditation every day if we can. So we are just, through this reflective contemplation, reinforce the idea of death on our mind by this repeated contemplation. And death comes along with our birth. It is like a murderer who's waiting for the opportunity to strike, a murderer with a drawn sword. And waiting to end our life, which means death has been shadowing us, standing right behind us this whole time. So it can happen any time. And this life is slowly, eagerly, continuously moving ever closer to death. So goes from where it arose and to end, just like the sun runs its course. Sun rises and the sun sets. That happens slowly, and there is no interruption. Uninterruptedly, it keeps going from the beginning of the day to the end of the day. So this life has the same nature. One which has arisen is going to the end, going ever closer to death. And we reflect on that. And this life, with regard to the way it ends, is like a lightning, can be so quick. It's like a bubble, something formed out of water. Does not last long time. Quickly vanishes, disappears. It's like a dew just on the top of a blade of grass. Early morning, we can see a lot of dew on the top of grass. When sun starts to shine, they quickly evaporate. life is like that. And it's like a line drawn on the surface of water. Whatever the tool, maybe a stick you use to draw a line on the water, when you just get it out of the water, the line quickly disappears. So life is the same. And it's like a murder with regard to its rival, can never be constrained. There's no negotiation. Cannot be kind of convinced. It will do the same. Nothing different, just ending the life. So there are two kind of victors in this world. Some with great knowledge, great wisdom, and one with great power, hero. So they are very kind of famous in the history, the people with a lot of wisdom and power. And someone like Buddha is considered to be representing all two: a person with a lot of wisdom and also a hero with regard to the battle with the evil one, one's own mental defilements. So he won that battle and became enlightened, so he's a hero. And also he had a lot of wisdom. And all around the world, time to time, we come to know about such people, great people, with a lot of wisdom, holiness, eminence. And those victors have also been quickly killed by death. So what to say someone like me? So death will come to me as well. And when the conditions fail, so there will be internal and external adversities, because everything is dependent on something. That's a great teaching in Buddhism, dependent origination. So things arise depending on other things. And with the cessation of the conditions, and then things cease as well. And our life also dependent on things. When the vitality fades away and the heat of our body goes away, and when this body becomes unconscious, the consciousness is not supported by this body any longer, so this body fall down on the floor just as a rotten log. As long as the life is supported, so we are living. But when the conditions fail, there will be adversities internally and also externally, and there will be this quick, sudden slaughter like happening. So within less than a blink of an eye, so from all that we see time here is limited, and this is not only for me, we all have this common nature, which is mortality. So cultivating as many virtues as possible that bring happiness to oneself and also others, well-being to oneself and others. One should live this life prioritizing what is really worthwhile doing, what is really important, what are the essentials really in this life, most significant things to be engaged in, to be attended to. So that way we kind of obtain a big energy and awareness as we focus on death every day. It should not give rise to any fear, anxiety, terror, but it is such an encouragement, making me more confident. So I am much more aware about the fact that I will die, and my mind is stronger more than ever, so I can face death with courage and equanimity when it happens. Until then, I'll be only focusing on what is really worthwhile doing. That's a great benefit of this meditation. So that is the meaning of the verses we chanted at the beginning. Now let us move to the themes that we are going to talk about briefly today. As we normally do, there are actually 4 themes, but 3 of them are really, with secondary aspects. The last one is for us to reflect as one who knows that one's life is very short, can be very short, and death is happening for sure. So it is for us to reflect what kind of life we should be doing. So that's the last step of the meditation. But before that, let us go through the other 3 major themes. So the first major theme is that death is inevitable, unavoidable, inescapable. So it is certain. So the first aspect of the first major theme is that I will die. Just like everyone else. And we briefly talked about how all people lived in the past with whatever endowments, achievements, acquisitions they had to pass on. So do I. And death is there from the beginning of life. So we are so fortunate to have lived this far. Some people have near-death experience even though they are alive at the moment. So it's kind of a stark reminder for them. Death can happen anytime. Some people might not have experienced any such thing, but it's not a kind of a guarantee that it will not happen soon. Not guaranteed. So we have been kind of coupled with death all the time, even though we are living. We have been living. We are kind of accompanied by death in this life journey. So It can be expected anytime. And we are moving ever closer to death. Just like an arrow leaving the bow, every moment getting closer to the target. Irreversible. Does not turn around. Keep going. Constant going until it comes to the end. So from all those three, I will certainly die just like everyone did in the past. Death comes along with my birth, and we are moving ever closer to death. I understand and I really see that death is certain. So you reflect on that. Now let us move to the second major theme. The arrival of my death is uncertain. We know for sure death is certain, but when it comes to the arrival of death, then we have no idea. So let us talk about the arrival of death in three secondary aspects. So the time of my death is unforeseeable. Let's say we all are in our 30s. From all records that we hear, it's like the kind of average of life 70 or 75 these days. And we're thinking about that. Now we are in our 30s, so death will happen in another 40 or 50 years' time. We come to that conclusion. Can we really conclude that way? We cannot. At the same time, we see, even though one can live, they predict 70 to 80 years, but we can see, people dying, in every age group. Little kids die. Sometimes when they are a toddler or infant still. And young people die, some married, some even before the marriage. And some people are sometimes fortunate to live, to see their grandkids, so they are grandparents. And some people, being fortunate enough to live a, kind of ripe age, so that how it goes. So I don't really know the time of my death. It can be many years after from now, or even in a couple of years, next year, end of this year, in a couple of months, this month, or even before that. So the time of my death is not so sure. And also the place of my death is not predictable. At some point in our life, we are kind of grounded somewhere. We have settled somewhere and we start to call it, yeah, this is my home. This will be where I'll be living, and also I'll die one day. So, can it be only at your house, your lovely house, in your room, and in your bed? Is that the only place that death can happen? No. It can be anywhere that we have never thought about. We get on train, buses to get to places, taking freeways, highways. We get on board, flying somewhere. We want to spend our vacation on a cruise. So we do different activities as we live. So death can happen at any such place. And I don't know where it will be. And finally, the third secondary aspect is that the cause of my death. Cause of my death. That's also unknown to me. We can think about some people who passed in our bloodline, and you think about the cause of their death, and also think whether they thought that the cause that killed them would be the cause of their death. Did they have any idea a couple of years before the death? There are many people dying that we know, friends, teachers, family members. Did any of them have any idea about what would be the cause of their death? And with regard to my death, me neither. So I don't know either. It can be some disease, communicable, uncommunicable, organ failure. There are plenty of illnesses that we can think of, and I don't know which one will be mine. Everything goes well, but just like a flame in the breeze, sometimes it gets extinguished because the wick runs out or the oil runs out. But there can be the breeze. There is enough oil left. There is a good wick, but the wind extinguishes the flame. So my life might be ended by such sudden, unexpected thing. Although I maintain good health, healthy life. So from all that, the time of my death, the place of my death, and the cause of my death, all of them are unforeseeable. So the arrival of my death is unknown to me. You reflect on that. Third major theme: when death really occurs, one has to pass on, abandoning everything, giving up everything you have to say goodbye. So we rehearse very well in our daily life to do it without much struggle, without fear, without panicking, and we do this rehearsal, dress rehearsal, as if we are doing the final act with all those dressing, clothing. So when death happens, it's like we are getting on stage, the screen is open, the audience is there, so excited for what we are going to do, and we remember our lines without any hesitation, stage fear, nothing, with courage, confidence, equanimity. So we are kind of mastering art, how to die without pain, suffering, struggle, but with equanimity. So the first secondary aspect, you have to give up all your possessions and positions. So you are learning how to release the grip of everything that you are attached to. Money, stock holdings, bank accounts, properties, your antiques that you have been collecting, that you really like, love, all the possessions, automobiles, jewelries, everything that you have been collecting. Just live without attachment. And also your possessions, positions, like your titles, honors, that has fed your egocentric identity. I am the president of this and that. I am kind of doing this job which is well reputed. I have this title, that title, so everything that fed our conceit. No point, because death can never be constrained using or any of such achievements. So you become more humble, down to earth, as you keep achieving things. Everything has to surrender to death. So one should learn how to detach oneself from all those positions and possessions. I mean, the positions and possessions. So it's easy for one to let go when death really strikes. So the secondary aspect, one has to, of course, give up one's beloved ones. And we don't know who goes first. Sometimes parents think, I should die before my kids. I wouldn't be able to see them saying goodbye before me. So we have such wishes. And kids who really, really love their parents have the wish, may my parents not die. So we never want our beloved ones to die. But when we think about the nature, so such wish cannot really keep its currency. Because the otherwise can happen. So we understand we have to say goodbye to our beloved ones upon my death or upon their death, each one saying goodbye to each other. And finally, I have to give up this fathom-long physical body that I identify with, where my personal identity built upon. When you see yourself in the mirror, you identify with this body. Yes, that's me. And you are very much attached to it. Don't have to talk about death, but even a little change, some wrinkles on the skin, hair turning gray, tooth falling, weakening, getting eyesight weakened. We can't really stand for such things. I never want such things to happen. So we are so much attached to this physical body. But days fall on the ground, on the floor, just as a rotten log. There is no vitality, there is no heat, there is no consciousness there once death happens. So you leave this body. So what is really worthwhile doing is not to worry about this physical body, but think about the cultivating mind, which is sort of that we take with us. Cultivate one's spirituality. So last couple of minutes, So let us conclude the third major theme. From all that I understand, I have to give up everything. I have to leave everything behind as I go on, as I pass away. So with all that reflection we did throughout this time, with all that knowledge, understanding, let us now reflect, think about what kind of life I should be living here and now, which is beneficial for oneself and others. Have I ever paid attention to the trivialities that I am trapped in? Am I attending to unessentials, leaving the essentials behind? So, am I really focusing on the priorities in my life? Have I cultivated enough virtues that makes this whole world a better place for everyone? Or am I just lagging behind? Not necessarily have done anything. So you think about that, and you think about what kind of dimensions that you can cultivate, and what you can just let go of, get rid of. And you will hear the final reflection in a couple of minutes, so we can conclude the session. Let one not chase after the past or place expectations on the future. What is past is left behind. The future is as yet unreached. Whatever sense experience conditionally arisen, let one clearly see right there, not taken in, unshaken. That's how one should practice it persistently, ardently doing what should be done today. For who knows tomorrow, death. There is no bargaining with mortality and his mighty horde. Whoever lives thus ardently, relentlessly, both day and night, has truly had an auspicious day. So says the peaceful sage. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. May all your fears, worries, regrets go away. May all diseases be healed. May you avoid all calamities by the power of great deal of merits you thus acquired doing this practice. May you be well, happy, and live a long, long life. Okay, that's the end of our meditation. You can come out of your meditation and stretch.